Hi, this is Clay King. I wanted to show today a little bit about what I'm doing with some of my cells. I kind of been resisting going into a massive build, and but I still wanted to play with the cells and try different things out. And so I'm using different materials, and I just kind of wanted to show some of the things that I'm doing to try different things. The first thing that I did was I did buy some stainless, and I bought different sizes. And I bought 5 different sizes. I bought 1 1/4 inch outside diameter, then 1 inch, then 3/4, 1/2 inch, and 3/8. This cell here actually has all of them, and if you look at the end of it, you can see, I don't know if you can see all of them, but there's one kind of hidden in there. But there's the inner one, there's one hidden, it's just kind of a little further down inside. Then there's the 3/8, the 1/2 inch, the 3/4, the inch, and then the 1 1/4 inch. And this is the one we were using the other day. We have all electrodes hooked up to every single one of these, and we have them stick out of the water so that we can play with it and try different things and try different combinations to hook them up to see what works the best. And this has got sections of wire tie that we glued to the cell, and we used liquid electric tape as the glue, and then we cut little sections of wire tie and we put them on there, and that's what those little bumps are. And for the size or the spacing that we have in the tubes, this seems to work well. And that's kind of looking down inside it. I'm not sure quite what the gap is. I think it's about 100 thousandths in between plates, so it's like a 50 thousandths gap all the way around, approximately. We've been basically using the 1 inch outer and the 1 1/4 inch outer tube and the 1 inch inner tube. And on these, what I did was I sanded the inside of this 1 1/4 inch tube, and I sanded the outside of the 1 inch tube. And listening to other people, I sanded vertically on here so that I have nucleation, but it's vertical so that the bubbles will release and rise as quickly as possible. And I used very coarse sandpaper, and I tried to keep the lines as straight as possible to do it. And I tried to scratch it as heavily as I could to apply as much pressure as possible so that we would encourage nucleation and encourage the bubbles to rise as fast as they possibly could. Well, obviously, if we don't have the electronics and all the other stuff right, it's not going to matter a whole lot, but we were still trying to optimize for what we could. You can see the sections of wire tied on with the liquid electric tape. And that's one of the cells we're using. This brown stuff on the outside, I found, I'm pretty sure I know what it is now. I thought it was just discoloration from the water. It's not. When we have some of these wires and they're not well protected, they're copper. And the copper breaks down. And the copper basically is copper plating the outside of the stainless steel. So we're basically doing plating. Here's an area where tape was on the cell, and it's clean. So that's why we can't really clean it off. It has to be sanded off if we wanted to change it. It really doesn't matter, but it's copper. And the way we hook the wires up on these, we drill the hole. I don't know if you can see it. We drill the hole in here, and then we just wrap the copper wire through with insulation, and then we soldered it. Then we covered it with the liquid electric tape. And then on this one, the wire runs up the center of the tube. So the wire runs right down inside the tube, and it comes out the other side, or the top. So we have this wire running to the bottom, and it comes out the top, black wire. So that's our negative. And the positive, our fancy way of putting that on, is we just put it on here and run some electric tape around it. So it's pretty easy to hook one of these things up you know, to play with. That's all we're doing is a couple of wire ties and a couple of pieces of pipe. This is kind of a little bit of a next generation of that. Same sanded pipe, same wire setup, same tape and everything. But what we did was we put shrink wrap on there. And you can buy shrink wrap in different sizes. And this is a big piece of shrink wrap. And we just get a big piece of shrink wrap. There's another piece down inside. And we put that over the tube and shrink it. And we do that over where it's taped on the tube. So it's just shrunk on there, and it covers the whole tube. And then on the inside of the tube, we squirted silicone. We seem to have gotten a hole in this one recently, but we just squirted silicone caulking, and we filled the ends so water wouldn't go inside. And this has the same wire tie spacers down inside. You probably can't see them, but they're in there. And so this one has less leakage on the outside, less leakage on the inside, and it has more capacitance because of it, and it doesn't leak electricity as much, and I'll get into that later. For people who say I can't buy stainless steel tube, we just made these today, and actually they're probably some of our best sells. They're really tight, they're very close, and I got these for free. And this piece of tube right here, the inner piece, is about 1 1/4 inch stainless, and this came off an old grill somebody asked me to throw out. And this is the handle that lifts the grill. And I got 3 or 4 sections of 1 1/4 out of this, and I cut them 6 inches long and just cleaned them up with a grinder on the end. I cut them off with a abrasive saw, and then cleaned them up with a grinder on the outside and a grinder on the inside, and that's my inner cell. And then this piece of tube it's really nice and thin, and this piece of tube here is well, it's bigger than that. It's about 1.5 inches, and it fits very nicely over here with a tighter tolerance than all my other cells. And that's a piece of vacuum cleaner tube off of a vacuum cleaner, and I just chopped the wand up, and it fit, you know, and it was a wand we weren't using, you know, in the water damage stuff that we do. And so we made a bunch of these up. So we're going to try these out and see how well they work. This is kind of where I'm at with setting one of those up. This is just tape, if you don't even have wire ties, and I have a tape that we use called preservation tape. And that's this 2-inch blue tape, and it sticks really well to plastics and stuff, and it's just something that we use. And then here's the electrical tape. You could use electrical tape, it'd be just fine. And we ran like 3 or 4 layers all at once, and then we cut strips out with the utility knife and just stuck them on there, and they stuck pretty good. And then we're going to slide it together. I did not sand this. I did not sand these inner and outer. I should. I'm a little lazy today. I'm not doing it, and I have some other ideas for later, so I don't want to sand them. I'm actually thinking of polishing some of them. So this goes together, and just press down on it, and it lines up. No, it mostly lines up, and you can see the tolerance is pretty tight on this cell. It's quite a bit closer, and for the outside electrode, all I've done is put a wire on here, kind of splayed out the wire a little bit, and ran electric tape around it. So there's no fancy gadgetry or drilling holes or anything. It's just a piece of wire taped to the outside. And earlier, all I did was take a piece of wire and splay it out on the inside and put a piece of electric tape on the inside. And I just had 2 pieces of wire taped on here, and this cell was running 20 minutes ago inside the water. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to make these. I got this out of scrap from a vacuum cleaner and a grill that was being broken up. So if you scrounge around, you can find some of this stuff. And if you really want to seal this up, you can just wrap the outside in electrical tape and squirt some glue on the inside and seal it up, and you've got a really nice cell. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on everything just to try some of this and to kind of get in the game and start playing with it and see how it works. So this is kind of my little how-to on how to make a poor man's cell, and that's pretty much what I call these. These are my poor man hydrogen cells because I pretty much do them for almost nothing. Thank you for watching. Clay King.